Hello! It's been ages since I actually uploaded a video, and that's because I did a clean install of Windows, because I was having some technical difficulties. One of those technical difficulties was I lost all of the, let's do together. No, they're just jumping around. I always do that. People jumping around willy-nilly. I lost a whole bunch of footage. So, about 20 levels of Archer. Actually, I can go ahead and bring this up. About 20 levels of Archer were recorded. All of that is gone. And I recorded a little bit of blacksmithing, which I'm going to show you now, since someone asked for some more crafting stuff. Although what I'm going to be doing now is fairly basic, while I just talk about things. But yeah, so I lost a whole bunch of footage. Anyway, sorry. This will be what you get until I get Archer up to about 35 and start continuing the story. Because I've got nothing else to record except getting Bard, which will be probably the next thing I do after this, and then the storyline. So anyway, I've been leveling blacksmith, and my throat feels funny. Apologies about that. Possibly sick, who knows? Been leveling blacksmith. It takes the same gear as every other crafting class, up until 50, obviously. Plus a specific type of hammer, which is variations upon this hammer right here, and an iron file, or, well, a file in general. Now I have all high quality gear, that's all 24 to 25, except for the iron file, but whatever. And then I have just enough accessories to get enough CP to do this macro that I'm using for this. Now the best way to level a crafting class is to do levs, and the lev giver for Limes of Lamenza is up here somewhere. I think that's the proper layer. Yeah, I think it's up there somewhere. In fact, we'll go over there and talk to him. And the reason this is the quickest way to level is because if you turn in a high quality item, you actually get a 200% experience bonus. So you get the experience for giving the item, which, you know, let's say it's 10,000. But then you turn in a high quality item, you get a 200% experience bonus, which means you get 20,000 bonus. So you're getting 30,000 per turn in on that kind of stuff, and it stacks up pretty quickly. Like let's say you did this one. That's a lot of experience per item because you only need one for this. Now, the best, well, let's say the most efficient way to get experience per item is to do these turn-ins that are away from the town. For instance, this one's in Quarry Mill, I think is where that is, based on this picture. I've been playing way too much. I can determine things based on little tiny pictures. Because those give you the most experience in general. You can see this one is, or is that Quarry Mill? No, that's Quarry Mill. What is this? Is that also Quarry Mill? No, I don't know. Never mind, whatever. Because they give you the most experience in general, and obviously Gil is irrelevant in this purpose for whatever reason. But if you want to get the most experience per allowance, you'll want to do these ones that have 3 turn-ins, and that's because the ones with 3 turn-ins allow you to repeat it twice. So, well, actually repeat 3 times, but you know what I mean. So you turn in once, they'll ask if you want to turn in again, you turn it in, and they'll ask a third time, or a second time, if you want to turn in, and then that will count as a single allowance. So you get 3 batches of experience per allowance. That's the best way to do it per allowance, but the best way per item, or basically for your time in general, is to do these ones where you have to go off to another city for a single item, because they have the most experience per item, and they're just straight up good. Now some instances, like the instance I'm at right now, it's not very easy to get high quality pieces, like they're not selling on the market very often, or it's too hard to craft them if you don't want to buy them like I've been doing. I just keep buying high quality things and turning them in at the levs. If you don't want to do that, what you can do is you can go to your crafting log and craft each item once. That'll give you a bonus experience for the initial craft. You have to actually succeed, not like that guy who just failed to do whatever he was doing. Otherwise it won't give you the experience. You do that all the way through, that'll give you enough, between 26 and 30, that'll give you enough for a level or two, and then you'll either have to repeat stuff like steel ingots, which is what I'm going to be doing here for a while, even though I haven't even done any of these, or just keep going through, find something that sells really well, like for instance a plumed iron hatchet, and try to high quality those and sell them. Anything gathering or anything crafting generally sells fairly well. Offensive stuff, like say these steel claws, probably not gonna sell because you get them from quests, so it's kind of null and void. And let's actually, since I just remembered this, the subscriptions have kicked in. I have a bunch of other skills I can get now. I should probably get rumination and a hasty touch and all this, but I don't really care right now. I'm just making steel ingots at we're at. So we get a couple minions. You get a wind-up cursor. This is the 30-day one, I believe, so, you know, it's just the little selection cursor and it goes up and down sometimes. Gotta wait for it here for a moment. I know you do it, wind-up cursors. I know your tricks. There it goes. It's just a little selector cursor. You also get a beady eye, which if I actually properly click on, there we go. There it is. It's just a floating evil eye thing, which does that little twirl with the face thing, which is glorious. You also get a black, this is actually the 90-day one, I believe, the beady eye. 60-day, I believe you get a black chocobo. So we'll let that one show up. It's just the chocobo chick except a black version. It does the exact same thing as the wayward hatching, as far as I'm aware. Just black. I think there's a couple variations of these chocobo chicks that you can get. You also get a mount, which I can't show you right now because I'm in a town, which is the Araman, which is just a floating eye. Now the sitting pose for female Mikote is a little bit weird because you kind of slide around as it moves, which is just silly. Hope that gets fixed. I should probably eat something if I'm going to do this, but whatever. And if you're a Lalafell and you have this thing, you actually just face down, belly down, ride on it. Just hang on for dear life, which I actually like a lot better than the female Mikote one. I don't know what the male Mikote one is. Everyone else rides it fairly normal, kind of like they're riding a Gobu, if you have one of those. I don't, because I'm not a 1.0 player. I did install 1.0 at some point, but I did not actually play it, so I'm not a legacy player. But anyway, someone asked for some crafting, so I'm going to do probably the worst variation of crafting you'll ever see. And that's because I'm making 1,000,000 steel ingots with a macro. Hooray! I could show you the macro. Also, if you haven't noticed, the UI has changed, and that's because UI and all of that stuff is stored locally. You'll notice I'm missing a lot of my quick swaps over here. All of that stuff, including macros and equipment sets and UI, is stored locally. So when I had to do a reinstall of Windows, all of that was gone. So I've had to redo it from scratch. But I've still got the same general-ish layout. In fact, I could just bring up the thing and show you HUD layout. So we've got status effects is increased in size, limit gauge is smaller, there's the target bar, there's the focus, there's the progress bar. I moved focus up here because this is the general area I'll be staring in. So everything I need will be right there, except for my own health, but I'm not a healer, so I don't tend to focus very much on that. What else has changed? Inventory grid, guild, and notices are up here with the experience. I moved the duty list over because up here, in fact, if I get out of this, you can see there's an empty gap here, most of the time anyway. This is actually where my recording software posts the frame rate. So whenever I'm recording, there's numbers up here that actually block this entire space, so I can't really see anything behind it. So I've moved the quest over here. I've actually made this bigger because I don't like the small buttons. It's a little iffy for me to click on because I'm an idiot. Quality increase 454, yeah. Anyway, So I made these bigger. If you're curious, if you hold control and push home, it'll make things bigger, and if you hold shift and then, or sorry, if you drag something and then start holding shift, it'll actually lock to a grid. It may be based on a grid that Square has determined, or a grid based on where your other stuff is. I'm not sure yet, but you know, whatever. Other than that, I think I've made this a little bit bigger. I've made the chat window taller but thinner, so I could actually fit a bigger mini-map in here. Which actually, if you're curious, the pet bar is over here, which would allow you to actually fit 4 bars on each side, which is tempting, but I think I actually like this setup more, with the 3 bars, and then I've got health over here, pet bar on this side, that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, and let's show you the macro that I'm using for this. It's not a fancy macro, it's just a gets things done macro. You can see I've lost all of mine. But it starts off with steady hand, and if you don't know how to make macros, I may have explained it before, but AC is action, and then you have to have a targeting selector at the end here. In this case, it needs to be me. If you're making crafting macros, you have to have a me targeter at the end of it, otherwise it simply will not cast. I don't know why, considering, well, I guess it technically is casting on you. I don't really know why it does that, but whatever. But this starts off with an action steady hand, which is a buff to my success rate, because these things have a terrible success rate of 70%, which is like a 90% chance of failing. And then I have manipulation, which is over here, which is restore 10 points of durability after each step for the next 3 steps, which is actually equivalent, essentially, to Master's Mend, except it costs 4 CP less. So I'd recommend going ahead and getting manipulation just because it's better, quite frankly. Especially with this kind of setup, because you're going to be using at minimum 3 things that decrease durability. If you're not going to be using anything that decreases durability, manipulation's not actually going to be that effective for you. Then after that I have 4 standard touches, because that's what I can afford to use. I could slap some... Oh, I don't even have it yet. Never mind. I was going to say I could slap some advanced touch in, but that's actually much higher level than I am currently. And then hasty touches. But 4 standard touches, the most I can afford. I can only just barely afford it. You can see I end up with 17 CP left, which is only enough to do a single skill that I don't even have. Plus observe, but I don't know why you'd want to use observe in a macro. If you're using macros, don't use observe. It's just a waste of time. In fact, if you're using macros, don't even use great strides, because there's not really much purpose in it. You might get lucky sometimes, and the great strides will trigger, say, on this good, which would make it much more efficient, but the chances of it landing on something useful aren't very good. If you're going... I don't know what that guy's doing. If you're going for, say, high quality 1-star, or even 2-star for that matter, especially 2-star, you're going to probably want to be doing this manually until you get really good gear that allows you to set up a macro with a decent chance of getting a high quality. So just keep that in mind. But for just the standard stuff, you know, making 1,000,000 steel ingots for A, experience, and B, to sell, you can just set up a macro, it doesn't really matter. Especially at these lower levels, it can be pretty difficult to actually get stuff done any more efficiently than a macro would. You can, but sometimes it's just not worth the hassle when you're making this quantity of them. But anyway, after that I have Careful Synthesis 2, which is actually a level 50 ability from Weaving. It's very, very useful, and you can use it regardless of level, so long as you can cross-class a ability. And what this does is has a 120% efficiency, which isn't the best out there. The best out there is like 250%, but has a 50% success chance, or 150 with a 90% success. But the reason this is so good is because it always works. You don't have that issue of sometimes it just doesn't work. So just, you know, keep that in mind. It's a very useful ability to have. and you can take it over to any class. Manipulation is another cross-class ability. I don't remember which class it's from. Let's check that. Leatherworker? No, that's Waste Knight. Goldsmith, that's what it is. And there's actually quite a few skills that are relatively useful to have cross-class. Notably, Culinarian has a ability, which I don't have because I haven't got that far, at level 37 to, what is it that it does? I can't remember now. Something at level 37 Culinarian is really useful, and I just can't remember what it is. Which kind of sucks. Also, Bayergot's Blessing, which I believe is Carpenter? Yeah, we get Ingenuity too, which is also good. Really useful to have. Bayergot's Blessing from, I believe, Carpenter. Could be mistaken. Is also really good because it gives you a 100% plus 20% increase in quality depending on how many times you have hit Enter Quiet. So how many times you've increased the quality, it gives an extra 20% per, which means you can get that thing up to, utilizing Hasty Touch and Manipulation and stuff like that, you can get that thing up to 200%, 300%, or even higher than that increases in quality, which is insane. The fact that you can just straight up do that is astounding. But that's an ability that's really helpful for 1-star and 2-star crafts. So if you're going to be doing 2 stars, you'll probably want a lot of classes at 50 for the cross-class ability. For instance, you'll want Ingenuity 2. And you'll want to pop that a lot when you're doing 2-star crafts. It's very helpful, because otherwise those 2-star crafts are way above your crafting level. They're way above level 50 craft, and you can't go above level 50, so you have that massive penalty of being below level. Unless you use Ingenuity, which Ingenuity 1, which we already have, brings the recipe down to your level. Ingenuity 2 brings it down to 3 levels below your level, which means you actually get a bonus to your ability to craft it, which is very useful. Especially when you're doing progress. When you're doing quality, I don't think it actually matters that much. I could be mistaken, but I don't think it matters that much when you're doing quality increases. This is a lucky excellent proc. Yep. And then I hit a poor. There's always a poor after an excellent, that's just how that works. So macros will always hit a poor for every excellent they trigger. What was I saying? Oh yeah. I don't think it helps for quality that much, I could be mistaken, but it really helps for progress. You'll go from, you know, doing 20 progress a hit, which is very bad when you need that much progress. How much progress do you need to finish these? A lot. Just point that out. Let's just vignette that. There we go. 233 difficulty. And it's I believe it's eye level 70, which for all I know is crafting level 70. It's probably not, it's probably crafting level 55, like the 1-star stuff is. I'm not sure. But 233 when you're only proccing, you know, 30 per hit, it's not really that good. You can't go that slow and still expect to be able to actually finish it with any sort of quality increase whatsoever, which sucks. But if you lower the crafting difficulty, or the crafting level, your progress increases very rapidly. Instead of 20, you'll be getting 70, 80, 100 or more, which is really, really helpful. By the way, this is mostly what I do when I'm crafting. I just do this over and over and over, and then I go to weaving once I'm a bit low on money, and I'll make a bunch of high quality crafting gear and sell that, so and take that gil and then buy more stuff for blacksmith and then level that up. I would have so much gil if I just stopped buying things for other classes. It's a bit ridiculous at this point, but this is basically what I do when I craft. I just kind of sit here. I don't think anyone's on the FC because it's fairly early. No. Fairly early on a Monday. Oh well. Anyway, someone wanted more crafting, have some more crafting. If I start making 2-star crafts, which I doubt, but it's always possible that at some point I will make 2-star crafts. Probably for myself, just because I want to show them off. But that will be recorded and that will be entirely done manually because you don't do those with a macro. That's just not how that works. But by that point I will have several classes, several crafting classes up to 50, so it's entirely possible I'll be mostly self-sufficient. Except for the gathering stuff, because I won't have miner that high because it's incredibly boring. I should level up miner for all of these ores, especially later on. The high-end ores and stuff are really hard to get. Or really expensive, I should say, not really hard to get. What was that? I don't know. Oh, there they go. Steel Fae. I thought this said Sarah Fae. I'm like, what? You're supposed to be in the FC. Oh, whatever. So I hope you're enjoying your crafting that you asked for. Sir. I don't remember who asked for it. I should have had that comment up so I could actually mention who specifically asked for it. I don't know what this person's doing here, but whatever. Now when I actually hit level 28, I'll be able to do this in one careful synth. Not that it matters, we have enough durability not to worry about it. Because we're only actually taking one durability down from these 4 advanced touch that we're doing. Standard touches, whatever touch. I touch a lot of things in a variety of ways. Just saying. But anyway. I'll do this for a couple more minutes, I think. I've actually explained some things too. If you have questions about specific things for crafting, feel free to ask, and then I'll either answer in the comments if it's something small, or I'll make another video and answer it there. Basically, I'm just showing you crafting and explaining a few things that I do. I've heard blacksmithing is good for money, because they're so much in demand for relic weapons, mostly, but also because they make a lot of the crafting and gathering equipment. Like the tools, not necessarily the clothing. The weaver is the clothing, and I've already got that, so I'm probably gonna actually go goldsmith next to 50. That would allow me to make an entire set for whatever crafting or gathering class that I desired. Because goldsmith is the one that makes the accessories. Of course, I should actually mention, there's a few things that I would be missing. Like the spinning wheel from Weaver, I believe is Carpenter's. Although having said that, the malicious spinning wheel appears to be made of metal, so it's entirely possible that the level 50 spinning wheel is like a blacksmith or something. I don't really know, though. I haven't checked on that. It's probably not. It's probably still Carpenter. It'd be weird if they did that. Let Carpenter go that far up and then just took it away from him. I probably shouldn't even sell these steel ingots, because I'm going to need them for all of these steel things down here. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. How many do I have? I have 24 regular. Maybe I'll sell all the high quality ones, because those sell a lot faster. Where are my ingots? Where did I put them? Yeah, they are. I only have 4. I'm not really trying for high quality, so... By the way, this is pretty much always what my inventory looks like while I'm crafting. I just throw stuff in there, and then I never take it out, so I only have like 5 inventory spaces. It's a... what is that dude's name? Young Muhova the Great. That's probably a reference slash pun to something, but I'm not sure. I should point out, when you're crafting, you see a lot of the same people fairly often, because you're always around the market stalls a lot of the time. You'll often see a lot of the same people, like Muntlock Steel over there. I saw him last night and the day before. So I see Muntlock Steel all the bloody time. You see a lot of the same FCs as well, like you see a lot of Quay run around all the time when you're crafting. Mostly because you're sat in the same place for, 4 hours doing this. It's inevitable that at some point you'll find someone that you've already seen before. But anyway, once we hit 28 here, I'll go ahead and end it, which will probably be one more craft. Yeah, one more craft. That'll be it. And then I'll, do whatever crafting off camera and then go get a bard set up. I need 4 more levels of pugilist. I already have a 30 archer, and that will allow me to unlock a bard, which I will record for you guys. And then once I get bard up to 35 or so, I will continue the story. What level is the story actually? It's this one. It's 34, so around that level, I'll go ahead and head back to, you'll notice I have some other quests that's from the footage that I actually lost. Like this one, level 46, I got a 50 and a 47 in there for some reason. It don't make sense, yo. But this one's actually kind of funny, because this guy's, he talks to you in like old English. It's a little bit bizarre. But anyway, I hit 28. We can celebrate. Hooray! What's the 37 ability on this, actually, before I end? Brand of Fire. If you're curious, 15, 37, and 50 are your cross-class levels, as far as I'm aware. So whatever abilities these classes get at those levels can be cross-classed to other classes. For instance, Weaver. This is the 15 ability, this is the 37, and this is the 50 ability, so all of those can be cross-classed. These brands of X are useful, but not terribly useful to cross-class, so if you have a choice between a brand of X and something else, just remove the brand. If you're going to make something that has a specific affinity, you can swap it in as you see fit. But anyway, thanks for watching this presumably short little crafting bit, and me and my funny magnifier glasses, doodad things, and an aether flow on my forehead. We'll see you next time.